Hey guys, what's up? Scottish Duck here once again. Right, this is going to be my review slash thoughts on Project Zero Maiden of the Black Water. I've wanted to get to this video for a fucking while. Almost to the point that I really sort of rushed my way through this, you know, and it's like, I remember just playing it, getting near the end and thinking to myself, I'm rushing this way too much, you know. I was thinking about it a lot less because of it, you know. So I thought to myself, okay, no wait, just get a couple of days, then go back to it, and sure enough, I started to quite like it again. Because this game's been out for about, was it? It's been just coming up 2 weeks there, and I've only just gotten around to it. But here we go. Let's hope this doesn't turn out to be too rambly, because I have quite a bit to say on this one. But yeah, I'll say this right off the bat. You know, Project Zero, Fatal Frame, if you live in America, is genuinely one of my favourite franchises ever. Not just survival horror, just in general, right? I love this fucking series, okay? Pretty much all my love for it, though, stems from the first two games, you know? Crimson Butterfly and, of course, the original, you know? Adore those games to death. The thing about Project Zero 3, also for the PS2, is that I played that, probably like a couple of years ago. It was actually a couple of years ago because I was still living with my folks at the time. Doesn't feel that long ago. Holy shit. Because I remember actually playing through Project Zero 3 when I heard that this was coming out, you know? And I think to myself, let me get up to snuff with the game that I never played. And after that, I went right on to Project Zero 4, a game which I hacked my Wii to play. And yeah, at that point I was all caught up and ready to give this a go. And right off the bat, I will say that this game right here feels like it's for fans of the series more than anything, you know? Because, you know, the reviews for this game, you go on Metacritic game rankings and all that, I think it's like in the high 60s at the moment, you know, out of 100 obviously. And I saw that and I'm like, it didn't like make me any more hyped for the game, you know? I'm like, oh well, that's not a terrible score, you know, I'll just play it and see what I think. And after playing it, I'm like, maybe I can sort of understand why, but I still think it's too low, you know? This is a good game, really, really good. I find myself reluctant to say great, but really good, really good. If you're a fan of the series like I am, then it's great, quite frankly, okay? Probably one of my favourite games of the year, you know? But there's, again, okay, let's start talking about it, right? Now, right off the bat, this is something I got to address. In America, you guys are only getting this game digitally. And that's a big minus right there, okay? Not because I moan about digital-only releases all the time. I mean, they are all shite. I will hold to that to the end of fucking time. But this release in particular, right? It's about over, like, what is it, 10, 13 gigabytes to download the whole fucking game. Most Wii U's don't even have that much storage, so you're pretty much forced to get, like, a bit of external storage to attach to your friggin' Wii U. You know, it's like, it's ridiculous. Why the fuck, if there's any, like, way that a choice of physical and digital is justified, then this is fucking it, because finding it digital only is just like, yeah, you're just forcing people to buy more storage, you know, that's inevitable, right? You released a game that's over 8 gigs, which some Wii's come with. My Wii U is only 8 gigabytes, you know? Thankfully, it was released physically over here, but yeah, I gotta say that. So, if you live in America, you really gotta be wary of that, okay? I can't actually fully recommend the game if you live in America, because it's digital only. Like, it's that bad, it really is. But, if you don't care about that, let's talk about the game itself. Like I said, I feel like this is a game for fans more than anything, you know, because there's so much, like, little, it just feels so much like a Project Zero game. With, of course, hold on, this is me not preparing. With the biggest novelty, obviously, being that the Wii U gamepad is now the camera. Because in the Project Zero games, you are a character fighting off ghosts with a camera, okay? Obviously, ever since, like, first game, you know. You just always had to like push a button and then the game would go into a sort of like first person perspective, and that was it. That was how you fought ghosts. Attributes like how many ghosts were in the shot, how close they were to the center, how much you charge up or that, or whether or not you hit them just before they attacked you, were all variables in how much damage and how much you could strategize, you know, fighting ghosts. And it's a really addictive system, especially when your camera will level up and you can unlock new abilities and make it more powerful and take that through New Game Plus and shit. You know, it's those little RPG elements that make the combat in these games really addicting, you know? And that is here intact in Project Zero 5, the same great like upgrade system and all that. Of course, you're now just using the gamepad as your camera, and it works really fucking well, okay? Kind of like some of the games, you do have the option to just lock on to just Ghost, and you have the option to just turn off the motion controls. Actually, no, do you? I can't even mind, I remember. I think I saw the option to turn off motion controls, but you can use the right stick if you're in an awkward position or whatever. Or you can just like hold the LZ button down to instantly lock on to an enemy. And it works just fine, you know. It's not just tilting about the place that factors into the moving the camera about, you know. What also factors in is like twisting like this and the actual like frame of the ghost, because there's a sort of new mechanic in this game. It's like there's no charging up. You know, normally in Project Zero games, the longer you would keep your sights on a ghost, the camera would charge up and that would like give you a much better shot, obviously. But in this one, that's not really the case. Instead, you can twist it around, and if you can get 5 targets in the viewfinder, because usually a ghost will have like multiple hit points that will all show up, and if you can get 5 into your viewfinder, that will count as a critical hit, basically. And it's always satisfying to pull it off, you know. I can't again, I'm only just talking about combat here specifically, but that's kind of the selling point considering the whole camera is the Wii U gamepad. And yeah, I can't whack it. That part is done extremely well, which is probably the thing most people are worried about, you know, but I cannot praise it enough. Probably the best use of the Wii U gamepad I've seen yet. You know, I would go that far. I'm surprised we got a Project Zero game before we got like a Pokemon Snap 2, quite frankly, but yeah, Nintendo, you've got the tech, you can do this now, so good on you there, good on you there. Well, technically it was made by Tecmo Koei and all that jazz, but whatever. But how about the rest of the game? Well, it takes a more mission mode approach, I would say. Like, one thing I was reminded of when playing it was Luigi's Mansion 2, and I remember there being quite a bit of, like, hate towards Luigi's Mansion 2 for having a mission-based, you know, structure as opposed to a sort of, like, big linear, not linear experience, but a big sort of experience where you would just save as you went along, kind of like classic Resident Evil games. But no, it's like there are 14 chapters in this game, and items don't necessarily carry over. But rather, as you play through each chapter, the amount of items that you have gathered, you know, whether it be camera film, which is ammunition obviously, health items or what have you, the more you are carrying at the end of a chapter, the more points you will get at the end, which will determine what ranking you get and will count towards points that you can use to upgrade your camera. And I like that, it works really well, and you can even use those same points to buy like more items for a mission if you're finding it too hard. I never did. This game's not too difficult, honestly, at least in some aspects, which I'll get to in a minute. But yeah, that sort of like structure, I really like that. And obviously, after you've beaten the game, you have like a crap load. You have New Game Plus. You have like other things you can work towards, like completing the ghost list. Because certain ghosts can just like count as like collectibles in these games, you know, and it's a good excuse to go through the game and see if you can get them again. And there's even like a extra mode where you can play as Ayane from Dead or Alive. I have not played that yet. I've played a little bit of it. I intend to go all the way through with it. But yeah, I guess Dead or Alive and Project Zero are now officially in the same universe. Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that. So yeah, that way, from that sort of like how the game's put together, I think that's really well. Also, I guess some sort of like negative thing I can say about the gameplay is that this was actually pointed out a lot. Is that the movement controls are a bit sluggish at first. It feels like a cross between like classic tank controls and just like, but not quite as restrictive, but still pretty like sluggish. You know, it's hard to explain, but you can get used to them. Okay, I got very used to it. You know, running about the place and all that, and being able to whip the camera out quite quickly if you need to take a quick shot and whatnot. The only other thing that I remember that really bugged me was that arrows will show up on the screen to indicate ghosts and items that you can pick up. You know, just like a little means of like making it a bit easier. And the arrow is really weird, you know, it'll like be pointing down when the item is like right there in front of you. And you can get really confusing, you know, like, that was something I never got used to. I thought that was quite weird, but that's really, like, the movement controls and those arrows are pretty much the only negative things I can say about the gameplay, honestly. Well, that, and I guess I should say that this game kind of falls into a sort of classic survival horror trap where it kind of can't avoid being frustrating at times, okay? You ever play those bits in like the classic Resident Evil games, you know? You'll be playing away, you'll be having a lot of fun, but you'll always come to a bit. Whether it's like an enemy that's like really hard, or just like an endurance run or whatever, you know, just a bit in a survival horror game that feels frustrating, okay? All the Fatal Frame games have this, Project Zero. And you know, like in these games it usually boils down to having to fight multiple ghosts at once and being in a narrow corridor. Because the thing about when you're holding the camera, okay, you can move about like an FPS, you know, to an extent, very slowly. And that comes in really handy when you're trying to take a shot just before the ghost attacks you, because you can keep moving backwards and stuff. But when you're in like a narrow hallway and the ghosts are through the wall and you can't like friggin' see them or lock onto them, but they come charging at you anyway, it gets frustrating as fuck. Or when you're fighting multiple ghosts and one's attacking you while you're trying to focus on another one. You know, moments like that are definitely inevitable in most survival horror games, you know, so I don't want to whack Fatal Frame exclusively for it, but it is there, and I got pretty frustrated. Especially, one of the new mechanics that are in that's in this game is the ability to get yourself wet, you know? When you're attacked by ghosts, you have a little meter in the corner that indicate how wet you are, because water plays like a big part in the story and whatnot. When you're attacked by a certain ghost, you will get wet. When you're out in the rain, you will get wet. And basically, if you're wet, you're more susceptible to attracting ghosts and damage and whatnot. And there's this one particular type of ghost, these like Maiden ghosts, that they're the ones that will stalk you the most when you are wet and stuff. And I don't know what it is, but these particular ghosts were so fucking annoying. Every time I would see one, I was just like, oh no, not this again, this is for... Oh, I just wanted to run away, you know, because these ghosts, not only do they keep showing up when you are too wet, but they will like, they have this ability to like curse you instantly if you don't take a picture of them at the right moment. And when you're cursed, your health's draining and shit, and you have to use like a item to get it off you, you know, and it's just frustrating when it fucking happens. Luckily, and this is something I used a lot, there's a checkpoint system in this game, and you can restart from the last checkpoint whenever you want, at no consequence to the grade that you get at the end of a chapter, by the way. I thought that was a bit too generous, but I ain't complaining. I ain't complaining, you know, because those shrine maidens that kept showing up, they were annoying, very much so. But I guess I should talk about the story a wee bit. The Fatal Frame games, for the most part, have like their own individual plot, you know. Oddly enough, it was the third game that attempted to tie the first and the second game together with the third game, even though the first and second game were completely separate. Project Zero 3, I keep switching between the names. Project Zero 3 was like, no, they all are the same, and here's the characters to prove it. And I don't know, I was always kind of mixed on that. I kind of preferred it when they were their own thing, you know. Project Zero 4, as far as I can tell, was its own thing, all unique characters. But in Project Zero 5, oddly enough, you have three main characters, two girls and a guy, and one of the girls, who you play as for like just 2 chapters, is the daughter of Miku Hinasaki, who is the protagonist for the very first game and played a big role in the third one. She's pretty much the, like, main girl of the series, you know? And I was just like, oh damn, it's awesome to see her, you know? Even though she apparently has, like, a daughter now, and she still looks like she's fucking 17, okay? It's like, when you see the two of them, they're supposed to be mother and daughter, you're just like, no way. But yeah, it was cool to see her. But I guess I wasn't really a big fan of... They kind of do stuff with her in the story, and it just feels, like, really lame. You know, it didn't give me, like, a nice feel of nostalgia or, like, just to see her again. It just felt like, okay, I don't know. It wasn't as good as it should have been, basically. I guess I could say that for the story overall. I mean, it's very typical Project Zero, you know. You have a problem that can somehow only be tackled by fighting ghosts, and all the ghosts were, like, evil spirits because of some ancient Japanese ritual or some shit that led everybody to not have a peaceful death. Unless you have a camera obscura, in which case you can ward them off and stuff, and yeah, it's just stuff like that. I will say that Project Zero 5 is definitely more talky than previous games in the series. I know that's kind of weird to say, but that was always something that I noticed about all the games, you know. The characters do not say much in those games, you know. Even when you're with another character, like in Project Zero 2, you know, very few words are actually said to each other, and I kind of like it that way. It feels more minimalistic. It kind of lets the environments and the ghosts themselves present the story to you in its own way, as opposed to sort of like giving you all this exposition and, well, I say exposition, there's a lot of exposition in all these games. In fact, that's kind of the point, considering you're battling ghosts that die painful deaths and stuff, but whatever, you get the idea. It's a kind of like less is more situation, but Project Zero 5 I did notice was a bit more talky, you know? Again, it's such a weird thing to notice, but I did think it was more talky. Some people will probably prefer that. Me, it didn't bother me that much, but I did notice it, you know, it was just like, this is a bit different, so, yeah. I guess one of the last things to say was that it's a very pretty game, you know? The character models all look good, especially when the girls get wet, you know, that was good, yes. Yeah, obviously the music is also very Project Zero-y. You have like your shrill screams and your sort of like all the classic sound effects are intact. It's good, and I'm just really glad that this game, you know, it did exist. You know, I don't know if I want like this series to continue, because that would be kind of like a dream of mine. You know, like if Project Zero became like a proper Nintendo franchise, like you would see representation of it in like Smash Brothers and stuff, you know. And to be fair, there are Project Zero trophies in Smash Brothers, you know, but I would like to see them do more with it. But considering how Nintendo has handled this release, like that's the bit that really leaves a bad taste in your mouth, you know. The fact that it was digital only in America, and not to mention, okay, let's, I'm probably going to regret this, but let's talk about the censorship for a bit. Now, as you can see right here, this is an 18 rated game, and a lot of gruesome shit happens in this game. There is a ghost who you can literally see slit her own throat. There is, like, you know, eye gouging. There is just like so much violence. There is violence against little kids. It's a really brutal game. And my nose is itchy as fuck for some reason. So the thing with all that intact, the thing they choose to friggin' censor is an alt costume of the female characters being in lingerie, you know. So yeah, that got taken out, and instead we got, instead of those, a Princess Zelda outfit and a Zero Suit Samus outfit. Now, I'm not one to say like, I'm not one to like be pro censorship. You know, if you don't like it, absolutely go for it. But I will just say, it's like, are people really that? Again, I know any form of censorship should be bad, right? I get it, but in this particular instance, is it really that much worse that we, instead of lingerie costumes with the sort of jiggle boob physics intact, right? We lost that, but we got these cool Nintendo costumes, like, in return, you know? To me, that's like, yeah, I'll take that, I'll take that. I mean, I can live without the lingerie costumes, basically, you know? And again, not to say, I don't want to sound pro-censorship, because I know people get really sensitive about that stuff. But to me, it's like, you know, I'll save my energy for a real, proper, detrimental act of censorship, you know? See, I'm already saying too much. I'm already fucking pissing everybody off because I have not exactly terrible things to say about this situation, because there's some people out there that are really not digging it in regards to this game. So, but whatever. Either way, I do recommend it. You know, I get like the stuff I said about being digital only and all that. You know, keep all that in mind if you go to the site to buy this. But I got the physical one right here. I'm happy, and yeah, I doubt we'll get another one. It would be nice, but I feel like this was if this is the last Project Zero game, which, let's face it, Nintendo does want to sweep it under the rug by the looks of it. It was a good one. It was a really good one. So that's that, guys. Really long. Sorry about that. See you after. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.